Hello everyone, welcome back to Alfa Romeo. It's been a couple of days, but I'm still around. His voice has been a little bit iffy. But we're back, we're going to continue the Alfa Romeo save, and there's been a lot of comments and questions generally just about why I didn't just convert this one into the around the world save. And honestly, the answer is simple. I wanted to get something a little bit new going. This one is still middle of the season. Again, this one is probably one that we might end off this season, we'll see. But at the same time, I wanted to do something a little bit, newer, so to speak. We also have the changes to pit crew, so I like to also see how that works out over the course of a season. So there's a little bit of experiment that I want to do with that save. So we're going to continue this one as it is. As I said, we're going to get to the end of the season, then I'll make a decision what we do, because we have kind of made AlphaTauri the female championship save. So we might just put this one to the side, or we'll figure out something, a fun little challenge that we can do with this one at the end of the current season. Now with that said, we are going to get directly right into it. I do have to give myself a little bit of a, refresher here, been a little bit. But we have a very, certain lead here over Red Bull, 316 points to their 183, so over 130 point lead. And Bottas here does have a fairly healthy lead to his teammate, and if we go down to Verstappen here, it's about 70 points, a little bit less, but that is still a very healthy lead for us. Now if you take a look at our current situation, we're about to start the Canadian Grand Prix in 11 days. Our car part inspections, we have some failed parts here, so we might need to put in a little bit of work to get ourselves back up to working order, make sure that the warehouse is filled. But honestly, I don't seem to remember that we were behind on parts, but we might as well check. As you can see here, we do have those fresh chassis to go once these break. For the front wings, we could go with this one, but again, that is basically just if we need more overtaking, which honestly, we don't. We don't have any overtaking issues at all. The rear wings though, might want to make just 6 of these while we can, because again, we're going to be switching these out throughout the season. We're not going to be making any new designs. And basically it's the same here with the side pods. We are already making new ones. The underfloor is caught up. Suspension, we have new ones here. It's in under manufacturing, so I'd say we're looking really promising here. As I said, we do have a new research coming in just a day, and I think we're going to go ahead and kind of continue that research and just start another one more or less right away. I think I'm not too worried about what we need to do here, but it does get hit with minor technical changes next season. I believe we have cornering focus changes, low down speed ones in particular. So what we're going to do here is just put up another underfloor research because, well, our car is pretty good already. So we don't have anything in particular that we need to be too worried about. I'll catch a little bit further up with it in a bit. But yeah, this research here brings us up to about 60% on the airflow sensitivity, 70% on the drag reduction. So we do need to do probably a little bit of work on the downforce to get it back up and running. Financially, we're looking decent, I think. We're still looking very good. So let's just speed along here to that first race of today. Probably manufacturing complete. We're back up to 6. And they're worried about low stock on parts, but the thing is, they only care about that one part. They don't know that we have alternatives. So it's not actually a concern since we already checked. Now, the car's weakness is top speed, but again, the cornering allows us to make up for that weakness. No problems, so I think we are still, as I said, very happy with where we are. Bottas even improved his cornering slightly. For sure, it's up in braking and smoothness. We'll definitely take that. Pourchaire gets 4 points this last month, 2 in overtaking and 2 in reactions. Alpine will be upgrading their race sim, I assume. Investing in our drivers is important. AlphaTauri, once again, are planning to not end at the bottom of the grid. We do have some concerns though with the pit crew here in particular. So as you can see, we're already exhausted. We'll have a weary pit crew here at Canada, but I don't think this one is accurate. The weariness, I mean, I don't think it's accurate because it doesn't seem to be hitting this hard most of the time. So we'll see in Canada if we actually end up with about 30%, 32% chance of error. If we do, then I guess I was wrong. But the pit crew currently is kind of hard to manage straight up. So a little bit unsure what we might want to do here. It could just be that you now have to give them, you know, a couple of days off a week. Otherwise, they start building fatigue quicker. That would actually be a good way to balance things, I'd say. But it's kind of hard to, as I said, figure out. But for now, though, I think we can be happy with this. A little bit on the line here in Austria, particularly because of the fact that it is a sprint weekend. But we'll just have 4 things going this month because we're already super exhausted. And I don't remember what we did last time around, but I'm pretty sure we didn't plan anything that would put them into this this sort of, you know, exhausted level. I really wish you could see previous month's pit crew, because this one, as I said, is very, very surprising to me. Yeah, it doesn't look like we can. I can't at least see any way of going back and have a look, because yeah, pit crew is acting a little bit weird. But that's also one of the things why I want to test with a new save, to see if that is the same on new saves or if it's just on the older ones. We're getting ready for Canada. I think we can guarantee that we will be qualifying. Well, we already have set that one up. Plus that, we'll go for that Q2 qualifying position. We're going to be a little bit tongue-in-cheek and just say both drives into Q2, both drives into Q3. And with that, we'll get through practice and quali, and we'll see what we do here for the race itself. Quali could get very interesting. We're going to have rain, but the race itself should be dry. Qualifying could have gone better for one of our drivers, namely Show. Ended up having a spin, ended up behind one of the slowest drivers on the grid, and as a result, he, well, ended up 13th. Rainy just had one chance, couldn't make it stick. Bottas, however, put his car on pole, so we can't really complain about anything there. Now, Canada is a bit of an interesting one. We have, well, tires here, softs, just better for around 11 laps, which isn't much when you have over 70 laps total. That is soft to medium. Medium to hard is another story. They're basically good for almost 30 laps. So if we can, we might want to try and do something like a medium to hard one stopper. It might actually be really powerful here. Other options, of course, do include a two stopper, but I'm wondering if we're going to be quicker on a medium tire than on a hard tire. It's going to be the question here. So we could do something like this. It's slightly quicker than this one, and for Bottas that's actually fine, because again, Bottas here just needs to kind of get away from the rest, and we can use a soft tire, and it's going to be actually just a tad quicker here, I believe, if I saw it correctly earlier. Might be wrong, but I think we can do this and just have him try and get away. But again, the issue there is that we need to pit earlier to make that work. So I think if we do something like this, and if we need to get the gap for the pit stop here, we can stretch it. Now, the pit lane here is fairly short with just, let's see, what is it? 19 seconds, 18 seconds. So you don't need to get a huge gap on the rest of the pack to have a good pit stop here. Now, for sure, I think this is actually going to be his best strategy, where we go very aggressive. We try and get as far up on the soft stint as we can. We pit onto a hard stint, try and see if we can jump someone, and then we go back to the soft till the end. And as I said, I think that is his best strategy. It should work out pretty well for him, because again, he has a bit of climbing to do. So do a very aggressive first stint, pit into what hopefully is going to be a bunch of fresh air, and jump a bunch of cars through that. That's going to be the goal. For Bottas, the fact that we have a lot of free tire here allows us to, if we need to, extend our first stint in order to make sure that we can safely pit without losing too much time. Now remember, according to the calendar, we should have about a 30% chance of a pit stop error here. So honestly, I should have just gone for the one stopper with Bottas, but I want to see if we actually hit that 30%. We should have at least one pit stop error here, probably two. But I'm wondering if the calendar is lying to me, because I've seen earlier when I had a 30% chance, we did 6 stops without, you know, having an error. Now the odds of that aren't, you know, impossible, but considering how easily I pit stop errors earlier, it does make me a little bit worried. Kind of want to see what happens here. So we're going to do this. We should have a 30% chance of failure. What failure? area on the pit stops, which should make things a little bit more interesting.
The drivers are ready and raring to go. It's the Canadian
So medium tires on the cars around Bottas means that he should have no problem just kind of flying away. Good start to there, gets away clean. Show looks like he also had a very good start. He has a hard runner and a soft runner around him, but it looks like Perez might be pulling away here. Nope, we're still in it. Hopefully we can get Perez fairly quick, because that would make life a little bit easier. But Bottas, though, as you can see, has already pulled half a second on Verstappen. And there are a few hard runners, but for the most part, it's going to be medium runners ahead of Show to deal with. So, should make life a little bit easier for him, but we'll see how we perform here. Gaps do seem like they might be forming here, particularly with Alonso to Russell. And if they do, that's going to make that overtake a lot easier. But Bottas here too now is kind of storming ahead, and that's what we'd like to see. For Show, Alonso here, the gap is dangerously getting close to being created. It's going to make that overtake too a whole lot easier. And I'm going to go ahead now and tune these two stats down. I kind of forgot about that, but it seems like it's just best. Most of my drivers, even on the new series around the world, even if I put them to low overtake aggression, they don't seem to struggle too much, particularly early race, with getting overtakes done. And it makes your life a lot easier when they don't completely wreck your car every 3 seconds. Now, Show is actually doing very well on his own, getting overtake after overtake. And with an Alpine ahead of the Merc, potentially it could get at least one overtake fairly soon, if not even a double. Now, Bottas has actually been caught up by Verstappen, which is a little bit worrying, because I was focused on Show. But I think it's fine for now to just let them run together. We are going to burn fuel down to about 1.5, 1.8 kilos. And honestly, I can allow Bottas to just sit with Verstappen. That works too. Heat-wise, we're not even close to overcooking these tires. Well, we're 5 degrees off, so we're close, but not too close where it's going to be a problem. Even less so for Bottas there, who has 125 degrees to go on. Show is actually struggling with the Alpine and the Merc. I guess the DRS is causing a little bit of pain. But it did get a move done there, and I assume he's going to just fly by Ocon now. And then start chasing down the rest of the field here. So he's doing well. Things are going very, very good there. Already pulled away from Ocon, so Show is going to be probably flying back up to the front here. What I'm thinking we'll do with Bottas now is just straight up harvest a little bit. And the goal is very simple. We'll allow the DRS to kind of help us keep up with Verstappen. And we'll be trying to recharge and then pull away like we usually do. Because we're kind of going to have to. Because, well, we're kind of struggling as it is to get that done. So don't really have much involvement. Show is actually already caught up to the rest of the field here. Well, not the rest of the field, but at least the second DRS straight up to Sainz. He has two cars to contend with to get that done. Looks like he won't have a huge problem to get it done. And right now we can actually just keep him where he is in 6th here or 7th, depending on where he ends up. Just have him recharge a little bit here on this lap. Now, I wanted to try and have Bottas pull away with the energy that he saved up, and he is doing that. Verstappen is now being kind of left behind, but it's still not great. Verstappen is still fairly quick here, and particularly in the straight line, we have some weaknesses. So this track is not a good fit for us, and I think with that energy here, that he might actually catch up to us. We'll have to see. For sure now, we'll just put him back to normal. That should be enough here now that he will be getting the Williams, I would think. If not on this lap, the next lap. So looking very good now. We'll just keep on working Show back up. Shouldn't be a problem to, you know, just slowly get through these guys. And we'll see where we stand once we get closer to the first pit window. We're getting increasingly close now to that first pit window. Show has actually made it up into the podium places again. But as you can see, it's currently 10 seconds. If you put 18 to that, it's going to come out just behind the Haas's. So for the time being, we're going to keep him out. He is still running around the times of, you know, these cars. So we're going to allow these tires to just burn themselves a little bit more, and that should be acceptable. As you can see, even Bottas now is getting close to his pit stop, but the times aren't, you know, they aren't going to allow for that right now because we'd be pitting right into another bit of traffic. For the show here, I don't think we have much of a choice, unfortunately. We've already kept him out a couple, well, 3 laps more than we intended. So we're going to have to try and just pit him here. It should come out just behind Hulkenberg, unfortunately. So he'll once again have to climb through some pretty severe DRS trains there. And he actually comes out in front of both Hasses there. So not the worst pit stop in the world. And didn't hit that 30% chance of an error, which is neat. I think we can pit Bottas and just gamble a little bit here. But there is this DRS train here with Tsunoda, Stroll, Albon, and Sainz. But Albon at least is going to be pitting fairly soon. So is most of these others. But Bottas is still quicker by half a second or so. No, he's actually slower now. I guess we should pit him then. Although DRS is probably playing a part there. But I think we might as well just pit him here. And it shouldn't have too much problems getting through this train, I would think. But of course, if we hit the error here, that's going to hurt a lot. But I think it's fine. It should be anyways. Gives a little bit, little something to fight for, if you will. Nope, did not hit the pit stop error, which is nice. And he too managed to slot it in the middle of a DRS train. So that is going to make Bottas's, you know, fight up to the top a little bit easier. Although Albon did get that overtake done fairly immediately. Tires do need to get heated up before we can make any moves. Show behind Perez here, Hamilton, Ocon. It's getting slowed down, so yeah, maybe not the best move I've ever done, but I think it's one that we might need to do. Although Show now, with a little bit of DRS help and energy help, has already flown past his quote-unquote problems. Bottas, though, is having a little bit of a harder time, I think, getting past his DRS train. So we'll just go ahead and harvest here for a couple of laps. And that should be enough for him to get himself back into the fight, so to speak. Although he might actually get the Aston of Stroll. No such luck. But yeah. I'll be focusing on getting both cars up here. As you see, it's not particularly difficult. So it should be a fairly smooth run here until we get to the next pit stop. Unless, of course, we have some incidents that cause issues. But Bottas, in particular, Show for that matter too, shouldn't have any problems as long as there isn't anyone, you know, blocking him. And I think if we deploy it now with Bottas, that should be enough. That will fly past at least one car, unless they too run, you know, too wide, so we don't have space to make a move. But that's racing sometimes. You just don't have space on the track. We are fighting the Mercedes of Russell, though. Got the overtake done. Did cost the entire battery to pull that off, which is not great. Bottas, on the other hand, has pulled off both of the overtakes he needed to. And he's virtually also gotten himself out of the DRS window. So that's going to make it a lot easier for him. He's just 5 seconds or so behind Verstappen right now. Basically, we've already kind of made up that pit stop that Bottas did. And Shohei now should have an easy time getting back up. Albon should be pitting fairly soon. The medium runners here, although they're probably doing a one-stopper, should also be pitting before long. We've already seen some of them start with Russell. So I have no doubt that we aren't going to have too many problems here going forwards. Let's see where we're at on the next pit stop. Verstappen has just pitted. As you can see, he comes out in 7th. Show just overtook Stroll. But that does put him into, you know, a bunch of free air. And he has actually opted to go for a soft here. So I can assume that he's going to do another, you know, stop. Unless he's planning to take these softs for basically 33 laps. So that puts us on basically the same strategy at this point. Somewhat. Well, not the same strategy, but the same two-stopper. And I'm kind of curious if I want to have Show, for instance, maybe slow down a little bit and just block him to be on the safe side. I don't think it's going to be necessary, though. We have cars behind us here. Potentially, Verstappen might actually help show and make him a little bit quicker on these hards. But honestly, I don't think it's gonna be an issue here. So see a Stroll get out of the way. I assume that we're gonna see Leclerc and Sainz both get out of the way before long as well. We've had a classic Canadian incident. Multiple cars crashed. Looks like it's Hamilton who's lost a front wing. Well, half his wing. In a fight with the Williams. Okay, it looks like they both somehow managed to lose half their wings each, so no big incident, but still one that did make me a little bit nervous because, well, for show it's not going to be a big issue. We could put him on medium tires. For Bottas, it would actually be a bit worse if this resulted in a safety car. As you can see, Show has actually been left behind by Verstappen. He is fairly quick on those fresh softs. So we could have a little bit of a challenge ahead of us in terms of securing second place. Bottas, though, still has a fairly healthy lead, although Verstappen is eating out of it every lap. We are going to be going onto the softs as the final tire, so it's actually not a big concern. We can just leave things as they are for now. 15 laps to go. We have to make some decisions here regarding the final pit stops. For Show, I think we're going to go for it right now. He doesn't actually have a window to Leclerc and Stroll, but at this point they're going to start gaining, and each lap we stay out, that's time lost on the softs. So let's go ahead and get him in to the end here. Verstappen is actually going to take these softs till the end, so he's going to have to run a little bit more conservative. We'll see if we can actually, you know, make up the time by pitting. For Bottas, we're probably going to have to pit him fairly soon too. He has a bit of a safer window. He's going to come out behind Verstappen. But I'm thinking we have to pit him. Probably this lap to make give him enough chance of catching up. And of course, we do want to secure fastest lap. So that's going to be a bit of a challenge here. So what we're going to do with Show is the exact same thing. We're going to deploy. We're going to go push. And we'll see if we can have him kind of, you know, snatch fastest lap for Bottas here, because he's actually out 4 seconds just behind Verstappen. We're going to have him harvest for this and potentially the next lap, and then have him go for the quickest one. We'll see what the Show can do here without you know, without energy, without everything. And we'll tune him down now. He was unfortunately unable to snatch fastest lap there. We did 13.2. So we'll have to put our, you know, hopes now onto Bottas. And if he's quick enough, we might see a hilarity of him potentially, say, catching Verstappen and getting DRS on the straight. And he's already catching him probably a little bit earlier than we wanted to for fastest lap. But it'll allow us DRS, and that should, in theory, give us a, you know, fastest lap than
okay, Valtteri, no more overtake.
Anyone else.
Copy that.
So that is neat. We are going to have to conserve some fuel, probably for both of them at one point. Can actually just do that now with 10 laps to go to be on the safe side. 11.8, we'll take that. So Show here is basically just fighting now for third with Sainz. For Bottas, it's going to be a fight for first place, although he's probably going to get that, to be fair. Show actually gets the overtake done here. We'll put him back to balance, see if he can pull away. And, well, I don't think it's possible. We're going to be trying now to see if he maybe is able to catch Verstappen. 8 laps, 12 seconds. Gonna need 1.5 seconds a lap. Let's see if he can do it. For Bottas, he's pulled away pretty safely here, so just as long as we get the fuel back onto the positive side, he should have victory in hand. And last lap, it was actually 1.4 seconds between them. But I believe that included a bit of an overtake, so we'll see if it actually improves on this lap. But I wouldn't expect it. 13.1 versus 15. So he is gaining just about quick enough that he might be on the last lap capable of launching a bit of a challenge here. So let's speed it along and see if we can get that close enough for that. Although it's just 1 second this lap, so it's going to be close. Could maybe pull it off, but I think he's just a little bit too far behind, unfortunately. time didn't really change much. Yeah, Verstappen was quicker on that lap, probably with a little bit of help of backmarker DRS. So, bit unfortunate, but that does make it a lot more difficult for show. That last lap though, again gained 2 seconds. 3 laps to go, show. I need you to gain 2 seconds a lap. I need you to really get DRS from all of those back markers if you want to make this happen. And as I said, he might get it here on the final lap. We're going to be deploying early. And we should be getting DRS now from at least one of these back markers. And even Verstappen himself, for that matter. That should make this viable. Although the main concern is actually running out of energy. So put him back to neutral. And he actually gets it done at the start of the last lap here. So show it with a pretty sweet recovery drive. Bottas kind of just doing his own thing out front, tuning him down to be on the safe side. And I don't think Verstappen's going to come back here at show. He has already pulled out away from DRS. And that is another one too. We'll take that. Stroll 5th in his home Grand Prix. Not too shabby. Beat his teammate. And 11 places improved. Definitely acceptable. We did get the new, best time here. I don't know if we beat the, the all-time, but we can check that. Verstappen 3rd, Sainz 4th, Stroll, Leclerc, Alonso, Albon scoring points for Williams. Then we have Russell and Perez. With the driver championship then, we have Bottas increasing his lead. So it looks good. And we also increase our lead in the other championship. We still have the quickest pit stops, although we'll have to see what's actually going on here. Because again, we had another race with 30% error chance. And we didn't hit a single error over 4 stops, which again, is not the odds for, being safe there aren't terrible, but they're not great either. So yeah, it's a bit of a weird one. We are leading the pit stop championship though, so we'll take that with us. But I assume that it might be just straight up a visual bug on ongoing saves. We did fail to get both drivers in Q3, which is what this was, and we'll just have to live with that. Rear-wing manufacture complete, sidewall manufacture complete. That means we should be held up with all the parts now, unless we have, more damage. We have a failed sidepod and a failed chassis. Not really a concern. Can deal with that. We also had a design center fire here, where the manufacturer of the sidepods here is going to get slowed down. So we'll just have to live with that, unfortunately. Cannot continue to design and research any car parts. So we'll have to take a couple of weeks break here. Give the people a little bit of a, couple of days off. Now for the chassis, we're going to have to swap into the new version. Because we're actually out of them. And if we try to manufacture something now, it's going to be... Oh, we can actually manufacture things normally, still. So let's get a side pod. No, we actually have plenty of them. Okay, we're actually all caught up on parts then. I don't need to worry about that at all. Next up, Austria. It's going to be the sprint. They still worry about parts though. It's not actually a concern. Because again, we have spares of a different... we have better spares, let's put it like that. Austria, we'll go with one driver podium. Again, it is pretty, boring. But it is reliable and it brings in money long term, which is the goal. Both drives in Q3, both drives in Q2 should be doable. We're not going to have any rain to cause problem this time around. Should make life a lot easier. It is a sprint weekend though, so we only have one practice session. Before I forget, we did set a new lap record around Montreal, so that is nice. Let's go to Austria and see if we can pull off another one too. We're ready for the sprint. We qualified 5th and 4th, as you can see. Now, we could do something like use the hard tires, but honestly, kind of perfectly fits with this. Just get ourselves up in the sprint. We're going to basically have an advantage towards the end. But what I think we might do instead is go with the medium tires and just run them at standard. And that should get us to the end of the sprint, even if we run attack at the start. But not attack. Hards are definitely an option here. And we do actually have for Bottas an extra set of hards, but we might actually end up doing it with Show. It's just giving him the hards anyway. But I'd really like to have a little bit more flexibility for the race itself, particularly with using hards and medium. It is definitely going to be, for us, if we want to do an aggressive strat, a two-stopper. So we want to have the tires that can, you know, go the distance to make that happen. So we're going to be starting probably both drivers here on medium tires. We're going to go attack for the first couple laps, play a little bit slower the next few, and take it from there. We weren't that far off in terms of qualifying pace, so I think it'll still be fine, even if we, you know, not make it up to first and second. So we'll play a little bit more conservative, a little bit more careful here in the sprint, and try and make up for that carefulness in the race itself. I think that is an acceptable strategy here.
We're ready for 24. Here in Austria, we're all ready to go for the sprint.
Okay, so unsurprisingly, everyone is on the mediums.
And it's lights out.
It is the best tire for a standard strategy.
And you can use overtake.
And it looks like Bottas had a little bit better start there than Show, but Show has the inner line, so he has a bit of an advantage into the first corner. We'll see if he can keep that advantage going. Someone's already off the track. And we've had an incident in turn 1 already.
It's been quite a crash.
Gasly and the Williams touch, and the Williams gets absolutely shafted as a result. For us though, Bottas, Show kind of still fighting, but looks like Bottas got ahead of Show, which is kind of what we want. Bottas is the faster driver, but for now we are kind of just settling in. We're going to need DRS here on the following lap here to actually, you know, have any sort of chance of making a move. And we might actually get that move made now. As you can see, even if both cars have DRS, we have, in this case, the better one. And we were allowed to sneak past Verstappen. We are kind of falling behind, though, to a worrying degree here to the Ferraris. Gonna have to hope that we have DRS here on the main straight. We do. And we'll now tune down the fuel usage. So we are going to have to tune down the tires now to standard. It's just no choice in the matter, really, because we need to make them last till the end. If we run an attack, they're not going to last. So for now, we're basically into management mode, basically. I don't think we're going to be able to keep up with the Ferraris, so that is my main concern here. The fact that the Ferraris seem to be fairly quick, and as a result, a top 3 finish here might be the best that we can really hope for, as they're kind of pulling each other along. So it's going to be potentially a bit of a disappointment here, but again, we don't really have the tires to push yet. We're going to have to go a bit more aggressive towards the end. So for now, we'll just keep things as they are. Again, it's not going to be a great result, but we have saved some tires for the next race, and we have to manage these tires to get to the end. So we'll see where we're at in about 15 or so laps. We're getting close to the end here. We have caught up with Verstappen, or rather Verstappen caught up with the Ferraris, pulled us along. So we got a bit of a free ride here, but we are close now, just 5 laps to go. And I think at this point we can risk just going full attack. I don't think it's going to eat, you know, that much out of the tires for each one. But we are going to start trying to make moves here. As you can see, we are already doing that. A little bit of pushing. And we'll be trying to get our way up to the first place. And unfortunately, Shoei has kind of been a little bit behind the rest of the pack here. Kind of just barely pulling out of DRS. But he should be able to now, probably with going a bit aggressive, getting a little bit of push here, be able to catch up with the DRS train and maybe improve his position a little bit before the end of this race. Fortunately, no real gain there from Bottas, but with a deploy on the next straight, since we are making headway up the hill, should be able to pull ourselves up into second, and we were able to do just that. For Show, though, looks like he's having a bit of a harder time getting overtakes done, but with a few laps remaining now, we're going to turn him up to attack. He has a little bit more durability to go on than Bottas, probably a lap or two. So we'll run him attack this lap, and then we'll tune Bottas up next lap. Just is a tad too slow back there with the Ferraris. Bottas does get the overtake done. We're gonna have to tune him up, see if we can pull away. Probably not, though. It's probably going to be a little bit too challenging. And for show again, the main concern is just that he doesn't have enough pace really to get anything done against these Ferraris. Although Bottas runs wide and ruins his chances here pretty significantly.
Now this was Valtteri Bottas. No, why'd they go?
At least he didn't, you know, come back on and take everyone out.
Check everything in the car.
Did eat a bit of damage to the underfloor, so a bit unfortunate. But that does give Show now a golden opportunity to show what he's made of. And we'll give him a deploy on the main straight, not main straight, the back straight. And we'll see if we can pull something off here. Gonna be a bit difficult without any energy, without any extra fuel. But it does have opportunities here. So we're gonna go a little bit risky, given that, you know, take risks command. And we'll see if we can.
This will be the last lap now. Last lap.
Get close enough to maybe get at least one more overtake done is what I'm hoping for. And I think it's just a tad too far back, unfortunately. Unless they go 3 wide, which they opted to not do. So, yeah. I think podium is the best we can hope for here. But it's basically gone as we hoped. We did make small, you know, improvements. Shame about Bottas. Probably would have won if it wasn't for that that instance of running wide. But that is racing. It happens. We do have a decent starting point, though, for the full race itself. So we can't be too upset. Show improves the plays. Bottas stays put. Leclerc wins, Verstappen second. And other than that, Perez is the only one else in the points who made up places. Now, for the race itself here, we did save tires. We'll see if that actually, you know, was necessary or not. But as we saw here earlier, the hards there, about 15 laps, the mediums are holding an advantage. And soft to medium is, again, about 10 or so laps. So we do want to try and stay on the mediums and the hards for that reason. And we'll give him a new underfloor because the current one was damaged. So we could try an aggressive strategy like this. See if we can make something out of it. This would be about 18 seconds quicker than a one-stop strategy. Is 16 seconds quicker than this one, who's basically already on the line. We have no need of fastest lap here from a monetary perspective, so we'll give Bottas that strategy. Now, Show here has a little bit of a luxury problem because he doesn't have, you know, the necessary tires, but he does have decent smoothness. So this should still be an acceptable strategy for him. But we might need to run this aggressive stint a little bit on normal after the first lap. It should still be fairly quick though, and I think this is the best that we can do for him, unless of course we have a safety car. So for this one, 1946, 1935. So this one actually fairly quicker, but that's just because we didn't put him on the correct one. 1930, that looks more like it, versus 1935. So yeah, having 2 sets of hards, it definitely does give you a bit of an advantage pace-wise. So this is what we'll be going for. We'll see if we can make something happen with that. We might have to pit Bottas a tad earlier than when we are planning to, because of degradation. But hopefully we can get some overtakes done, get a little bit out in front, and pit into a good window. So that is the plan. Let's see if we can execute it.
Here among the Austrian mountains, the grid is now set. It's the race we've all been waiting for. It's the Austrian Grand Prix. And it's lights out, and away
Bad start there from Show, which might unfortunately cause Bottas a little bit of pain. But that is how it goes sometimes. That was not what we wanted to do. We wanted to toggle this one. Was a little bit too quick there in my clicking. But yeah, Show kind of holds on to his position. Bottas here might be able to fight the Ferrari. So a good start for both our boys, potentially. And we do have everyone on mediums except for 3 cars. Verstappen, Gasly, and Magnussen. So we'll see if Verstappen manages to get away or if he does get held up by Leclerc. And the longer he gets held up, the better for us. I am very tempted to tell Show to get out of the way, but whenever I do that, Show also allows other cars to get by him. But we might have no choice here. Well, Bottas is also kind of struggling with Sainz at the moment, so that makes it also a little bit more difficult. But now though, we do need to pull back on the ERS usage, and we're going to be tuning both cars here to aggressive. And we'll see if this then, you know, turns out in our advantage or if we get in trouble. For now though, we're going to struggle, I think, with keeping up with Leclerc and Verstappen. It's just how things are. But I think we'll be coming back at them towards the end of this race. So for now, we'll keep things as they are. We'll be running here with Bottas and Show. Hopefully they don't crash. We'll keep, we won't be pushing too hard right now to get away from Sainz. For now, it's fine to just kind of sit where we are. We're getting very close to our first pit stop. We have been running with Verstappen for a while. Show is running with Sainz. We're running with Leclerc. And Verstappen has now pitted. He does come out fairly far back there in 15th. So we'd like to hopefully get a couple more seconds gained on, in this case, Magnussen before we pit ourselves. Because if we don't, we're going to have, you know, a bit of a problem there with getting overtakes done. So what I'm thinking now is that we just go attack until we pit for both cars in an attempt to try and get a little bit more of a gap going to, as I said, pit into a bit of a nicer window where we don't get stuck like Verstappen currently is. He is losing a lot of time just generally being stuck with other cars, and that should or is actually slowing him down tremendously. So we do want to do that, but looks like I broke the game, unfortunately, so we'll have to restart this race. Right, Austria has decided that it's not going to cooperate with us today. This will be the 4th attempt. You had that first soft log that I showed you. The other 3, well, not other 3, the other 2, 3 total. This will be the 4th attempt. Math is hard. The other 2 had incidents too, one at lap 60, one at lap 47. So we have been spending way too long on trying to get this race done, to the point where I think it might just be cursed for me in this year's edition, considering all the other incidents I've had in the different saves here. But we'll try again and see if we can get something out of this race, and hopefully it won't be too punishing.
Here among the Austrian, it's the race we've all been waiting for. It's the Austrian Grand Prix.
So Verstappen on softs, seems like the tire allocation is somewhat the same.
Lights out, and away we go.
Yeah, been the same basically for all attempts here now. We'll take that. For both Show and Bottas here, we'll tune down their aggressiveness. We'll give them the balance assist. And the goal now is very simple, the same as we did every single time. We run the first 2 laps there on full attack on deploy. And then we will tune down the usage of tire, the usage of ERS, and then the usage of fuel as we go. Currently though, this is a pretty decent start. Both our cars are in good positions, 3rd and 4th. And as soon as we have DRS here, I think that'll be more than enough to push Bottas a little bit further up, which will make life a little bit easier. And then we can start to hunt down the Ferrari and the Red Bull ahead of us. And honestly, I think that shouldn't be too much of a problem here. Now for Austria, I usually go down to about 1.8 kilograms, as I said earlier. And we're going to be doing the exact same thing here. This first stint is going to be a tad slower, but as soon as Verstappen start really losing out on his tires, we should have no problems catching up with him. And I think that's already kind of what's happening here. But yeah, this first stint isn't super important to us. It's the 2nd and 3rd stints that are going to be making, you know, the difference. So as long as our drivers don't take each other out, we'll be happy. We're getting very close though to, as I said, that fuel kind of shut off zone. And Science has actually put himself in between us now. And that is not that surprising because Show is not especially quick. And that does kind of create problems for us. But honestly, running it like it is right now isn't bad either. We're getting back into the RS to Verstappen and Leclerc. And as soon as we do that, we should be able to kind of just run top up here for a couple of laps. So we can regain that energy. And then once we try and go for overtakes, we can hopefully have enough in the tank that we can create a bit of a gap there and get a few seconds before we go for our first pit stop here. Now we are creating a pretty sizable, distance down to the rest of the grid, but at the same time, this is Austria, one of the longest pit lanes. So this first stop is going to come out in no man's land, no matter what we do. But on a positive note, everyone is going to be pitting around the same time, with the exception of the 3 soft runners here. So if we're lucky, Verstappen might find himself held up pretty badly by the cars around him, and that is kind of going to be the play here. Now Bottas is getting potentially very close now to launching a bit of an attack, but as I said, for now we're just happy with being where we are, and we're just going to sit here a little while longer, honestly, and that should not be a bit of a concern. Although Verstappen there pushed everything he had and has now elected to pit. He does come out in 18th, so you can imagine that will have a bunch of free air once he gets, past some of these cars. But he's going to have a non-fun, trip to get back up to the rest of the field. For now, though, I think we can just keep our cars on aggressive and just run these tires completely into the ground. Even if we were to, say, start pushing now, we will not be getting away from the Ferraris. It just ain't happening. So we'll be pitting probably a lap or 2 before everyone else. And as a result, we can hopefully take a bit of an advantage of those fresher tires to get a bit of a gap formed to the other teams after that. So we're going to go full attack in now with Bottas. The goal is very simple. We'll be pitting him on this following lap, this one right here. And we'll be putting him onto the hard tire. For Show,
Box.
we could try and pit him too, but as you see, the gap there, it just doesn't allow for it.
Push more to close again.
So we'll put him up to attack as well, but we'll allow him to run 1 more lap before he pits, and that should be fine. As you can see, other cars are now pitting. Bottas comes out in a pretty good area here, but he locks up immediately, and that is potentially going to be a bit of a concern there for us, for sure. Didn't ruin the tires too much, but when he does not really have much to go on, he does have a little bit, don't get me wrong. That's not a good thing. And he was right next to Verstappen. Now he is, let us see here now, about 6 seconds behind. So we did lose a lot of time too on that lockup. And yeah, we'll see if we can make something out of this. Show in 8th here behind Tsunoda, but everyone is pitting and the gaps are forming here. Although Sainz came out ahead, Leclerc came out ahead. Couldn't really get the jumps that we were hoping for, with Bottas in particular having a little bit of an incident, that lockup. But Ocon now pits. Bottas flies by Tsunoda. Show should be flying by here too. Just give him a little bit of a advantage, and maybe he'll get the double overtake done. He does. And I do want him to kind of pull away from the cars behind him, give him a little bit of space to work with. And Leclerc has pitted too. Everyone has now pitted once except for Albon, who's in front of Bottas. And it's not too bad at this stage, but we can, I think, expect everyone to pit again. So we still have a little bit of working space here. For now though, Show, Bottas, the goal will be to, of course, just catch Leclerc. We'll try and create a little bit of gap there for Show to Sainz and Verstappen. That's probably going to be very difficult though. And we'll be doing the same for Bottas once he catches up. For now though, we'll keep them running like this until we, get it back up in front. Or until we get to the final pit stop, whichever happens first. We've had an incident here, yellow flag with Magnussen. He is still running though, so I assume no safety car. A little bit of touching there. But yeah, a bit of an incident. In terms of where we are, as you can see, Show is running in third here, kind of fighting Sainz. Bottas, a little bit further back, he had once again a little bit of a running wider issue. Didn't really affect him much, but at the same time, it's not, you know, really beneficial. So we're going to go ahead here now and do that final pit stop for him. For Show here, I'm thinking that we will stretch him by probably 3-4 laps, potentially. Just to have a little bit of freedom on that final medium stint. And that's going to be the goal. In terms of tires here, as you can see, Leclerc is going to be pitting. Verstappen is going to be pitting. Sainz has pit. So, yeah, we're going to have a little bit here to concern ourselves with. Depending on exactly where Bottas comes out. He should be coming out behind Sainz and behind Ocon. And then he's going to have a little bit of work cut out for him straight up. Now, Leclerc here, I don't think it's worth to use energy to push by him right now, because we will potentially end up in traffic with Sainz and Ocon. So for now, we'll just leave Show as he is. As I said, just run a few more laps, get a little bit more to go on those medium tires, and that should make life a bit simpler. Although he has now, thanks to the back markers, gotten away from Leclerc. We will be pitting him this lap. And that should be pretty straightforward. Now, Bottas here is running a couple of seconds behind Sainz, but I would be fairly certain that by the end of this race, he'd caught up and potentially gotten by him as well. For Show now, pits should probably not come out ahead of Sainz. Bit of a slow stop there. Does come basically out just to slow down Bottas, which is very, you know, unfortunate. But we're going to tell him to not fight teammate. Just let him go. Bottas has pressure. Everything really, he's going to be pushing harder. And honestly, if Show can just hold on to Bottas there and be kind of dragged along, that would benefit him greatly, as he does beat Leclerc out. So the only real danger now is Sainz, although Leclerc has gone onto a soft tire. So he will be quick for these first few laps. We'll have to see if we can kind of hold him at bay, get away from him, and if we can't, we might be in a little bit of trouble. But for now, we'll just keep things going till Show and Bottas here hopefully catches up to Sainz. We have caught up to Sainz. Bottas has actually just overtaken him, so we're in a fairly good spot here now. 11 laps to go, and tire wise we still hold a fairly strong advantage, at least for Show. Bottas is a bit of a different story. But right now we have Bottas just push everything he's worth. He's even getting some DRS help here from back markers. And he's just pushing everything that he has to create that gap. And then we're going to do basically the same with Show. And that should hopefully be the end of this race. So I'm thinking that we will not be giving him energy on the next straight. We'll be giving him energy once we get to the towards the end here. And I've actually had him on the wrong strategy here on these medium tires. So that's on me. But we can now go full attack, and that should allow him to get a little bit more speed here. Bottas actually set fastest lap on hard tires, so if we manage to hold that going, that would actually be quite impressive, I'd say. But yeah, Show got his move done. Might actually get DRS on the straight due to Magnussen, and he did. So he too got sped up there a bit. Leclerc though does take fastest lap on those fresh softs, and Bottas and Show now will basically just have to try and run away, which honestly shouldn't be a concern. And at this point, honestly, I don't really care too much about which one of them win. We have a healthy lead, so while Bottas would be the correct choice if you were an F1 team worried about winning the championship, well, I say correct choice, basically the safe choice rather. For this one, we're just going to leave them as it is, both on attack, both running like this. We might have to tune Bottas down on the last lap, as he's still lacking a tiny bit of fuel. But currently, we can just let them fly like they are, and that should be okay. Although, I am very worried for Bottas' sake, so let's just regain a little bit of fuel immediately while we're at it. And that way we can just let them now run till the end of the race. 3 laps to go. We'll have a look at the fight on, I guess, the final lap. And we'll see if we see something a bit interesting. But yeah. Speed-wise, we're doing really well. Ocon, surprisingly, up in 6th. The Ferraris have been able to kind of hold on. And Bottas has now, unfortunately, left show a little bit behind with the help of the back markers. We even have a crash incident here with the Ferraris. Of course, they had to pull a Ferrari strategy on the final lap. Well, not really a Ferrari strategy. That's basically what could have happened at Monza this year. So that is very unfortunate for them. Sainz did with the penalty. Unless he can get the gap up again versus Verstappen, Verstappen is actually going to get 4th place there due to said penalty.
What a brilliant
But
win there for
not much we can
Bottas.
do. They are lucky that both cars could still keep going here, honestly.
Over the line.
Did Sainz not get a penalty there?
excellent drive.
Or let's have a look there, because Verstappen was close enough. No, he did. Just had to wait for it to really get applied. 1-2 for us, which is honestly very good. Again, a bit frustrated probably, so hopefully that didn't come too hard through. Been struggling with getting this race finished with soft locks for a while. And that is probably going to end up cutting this episode short, as I have limited time right now. But we did win 1-2. We have Leclerc in 3rd, Verstappen in 4th, and Sainz. Bit of a Ferrari moment there. We could have seen somewhat the same in Monza with Charles Lockup there, but luckily we didn't. Ocon in 6th, Perez 7th, then we have Stroll, Hamilton, and Gasly. Drivers then, Bottas extends his lead in this weekend, although Leclerc and Show ended up on the exact same amount of points, with the sprint race and the race included in this, of course. And I think this is a weekend that we can be very, very happy with. We now have a very, very healthy lead over Ferrari now, instead of Red Bull. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how this fight is going to develop. Pit stop wise now, we did have a couple of issues. As you can see, Bottas has the shortest time, but we don't see our teammate anywhere. So I assume he had actually pit stop errors on both of his stops. So this is kind of what we expected to be seeing last time around with the 30% pit stop error chance. We actually hit 3 pit stop errors this time around. Contact delay, stuck wheel nut, and a car released early. So while they didn't actually cost us anything this time around, it's still 10 seconds total race times. Well, 6 seconds for Show, 4 seconds for Bottas, and it can make us lose extra time by putting us into bad spots in traffic. But we survived this time, so I can't be too complainy. We also got the qualifying position streak done, which means that we get a pretty massive payout here of 6 million total. We'll take that with us for sure. And with that, the next race now will be in Silverstone. The design center fire has been completed, so we can go back to making parts. Maloney wins the F2 race with Montoya and Stanek on the podium. For F3, Saucy wins with Bernard and Yanni. And for the car part inspection results, we have that destroyed underfloor that we destroyed during the sprint. And we have an underfloor that failed along with the side pods. So again, no real concern there for the cars themselves. We just need to make sure that we have manufactured new components. And as long as we do that, it shouldn't really be an issue here. We already, as I said earlier, have side pods, so I'm not too concerned. We do have a new ATR period today, and I'm going to have to take a bit of a look here to figure out where we want to invest it with the rules and regulations here. Front wing still needs work, the rear wing needs work, the underfloor has a little bit of work, and the suspension still lacks work too. So we have actually not done any research then, according to this. Which I find kind of doubtful, but I guess I could understand that, seeing that we had 3 projects done in about a week. So yeah, we'll have to take a look at that. Rear wing research complete. I'll see how that one actually carried out. And this one was a standard one without any internal time or CFD time. You can see that because of the low percentages. If we were to put it in, how would we look in terms of gains? Wouldn't be anything massive, but again, The low speed cornering, you don't get a lot of it from the rear wing anyways. So I don't think we're going to be putting in any CFD time in the rear wing, but we're still going to be focusing on developing it. We do need to develop the chassis a bit too here. As you can see, it's kind of lagging behind. So I think for now, we're just doing another standard rear wing. And then we can start working on the chassis a little bit more towards the end of the year. Silverstone will be up now in 2 days. We also have a contract ending. But that is just how it be. Unfortunately, I think I'm going to have to end today's episode here. Mainly due to the fact that I don't think I'll have time to finish the British Grand Prix if I want to get everything up and running before work tomorrow. So we're going to have to end it here. It's a bit of a shame to lose a bunch of time because of Austria being a little bit problematic, but it happens. It is a game. Sometimes issues appear. Haven't had too many issues before Austria. It's basically an anomaly, as it has been far less since the latest patch. Just was a bit unlucky today. But yeah, we'll be ending it here. Hope you've still enjoyed though. And as I said, I chose to make another Around the World series as more of a tutorial for that first season as well, where people can just see how I would develop the car. There's been a lot of comments lately in particular about people being doubtful of me editing the saves, and I haven't. But it's still there, and I am conscious of them, which is probably what prompted me to do it. But at the same time, I'm a little bit unsure what I want to do with this Objective Survive save after this season. So I decided to just start over, and that gives me a little bit of freedom on what to do with this one. And it also makes a clear distinction on what the two playthroughs are. So it is what it is, however. Hope you still, as I said, have enjoyed. And I'll probably put up a poll about what we'll do with this one once we get close to the end of the season. So if you have any suggestions, let me know in the comments. And hope to see you around next time again. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed. Bye bye.